Today is the 21st day of June 2019. It's the first day of summer and the longest day of the year. So looking forward to that long day, are you, Sheriff?
Absolutely.
Well, let's see. Which microphone are you on?
I'm on one of these. There we go.
There we go. I hear you better now.
Yeah.
I just didn't have your volume cranked up high enough.
Yeah.
So have you had a good week at the Sheriff's office so far?
We have. We've had a good week this week. And we are just trying to get along, trying to get our budgets behind us and all those kind of things. And commissioners will be voting on some more stuff here before too long. And hopefully we'll get our full budget and figure out what we got.
Let's see. We had a budget work session. Was it last? No, it was earlier this week, I think.
I believe it was earlier, yes.
Yeah, I was there, but they start to run together after a while.
They do.
After all the number crunching and all the arguing over certain
right.
things. No offense, commissioners.
Yeah.
But sometimes you argue too much. No, but that's part of the process.
Tim said it, I did.
Yeah, that's right. Tim said it. Blame me.
Right.
But, yeah, there was a lot of discussion on things. But we're happy to be there to cover those meetings. And if you want to watch those, you can go to WKRK's Facebook page on your computer, click on the videos tab. That's the quickest way to go to all of our videos. So if you're interested in the budget and what was being discussed, I won't use the word bickered. No, we haven't. But if you just have a phone, I don't. If you're watching on your smartphone, I don't think that video tab is there. But you just can scroll through our timeline for all the videos there and see them that way. But a lot of things were discussed. And let's see. One of the topics was the body cameras.
Yes.
And I believe those were approved. Am I right?
I think so. We got approval on the body cameras, and what we're trying to do is trying to outfit all of our patrol units with body cameras, and that way you have an accurate depiction of what happens out there on the road and what happens when they answer calls and things. You know, you see it across the country, the body cam footage and all that's happening, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen even here in North Carolina that there is going to be at some point in time probably a legislative mandate to do body cameras anyway. So we might as well go ahead and get on board and start getting involved with that and trying to figure out how to get all the bugs and the kinks worked out of it before we have some type of legislation on it. So,
do y'all have any body cams right now?
We have tested some different kinds, different brands over the last couple of years, and we don't have any currently right now. What happens is when you go to these body cam companies and stuff, they'll give you loaner body cams to try out and see how they work and those kind of things. And they've got all kind of different sizes, from little bitty ones that you can just barely see to great big bulky ones that it's like a big video camera sitting on your chest, all kind of different ones in between. And so we're just trying to see what works best for us.
I'm trying to think from the officer's perspective that is wearing these. They're either thinking, oh, I'm going to be caught doing something wrong, or this is going to protect me when a case goes to court.
When I was a patrol officer, we had a Governor's Crime Commission grant then to have in-car cameras put in our cars. And I loved having a camera in my car. It protected me so much on accusations and things that people would say and things that accuse you of saying to them and doing. And I enjoyed it so much to have a camera in my car. And as a matter of fact, today, even in my patrol car today, I have a GoPro mounted in my car today just to record kind of things that happen if I do traffic stops or put somebody in my vehicle to take them somewhere, whatever. I have a recording, of what's going on. And I think it's very important that we do have an accurate depiction of what happens out there. But now there's pros and cons with body cameras. And one of the cons with the body cameras, and I think the body camera companies are trying to address it and fix it, is that historically in the past was body camera, you just kind of had a straight ahead point of view of what's happening. And so when you have multiple people, where you have people off to the side, people behind you, those type of things that don't give an account a lot of times of the full picture of what's going on around you. But I think a lot of the body camera companies are trying to address that now and doing the wide angle views and doing the multiple camera views and those kind of things. To try to get a better perspective of what's going on around you. So that's been always been an issue with law enforcement officers in the past, of that when you're sitting at home watching this, you only see directly what's in front of that person. Right. You can't see what's going on around them.
And I'm sure the microphones aren't picking up what's going on behind them either. So
a lot of times not. And that's something interesting too about audio that a lot of people don't realize, is that for a human ear, we're able to pick up sounds and zero sounds out and pick up other sounds and block some things out, kind of thing. When you have an audio recording, whether it's on a videotape or whether it's just an audio player, there's no way of blocking sounds out and moving those back and forth as you're recording, as you're playing it. So when you're listening with a human ear, I may be concentrated on what you're saying when all this ruckus and racket going on around me, but with a recording, you can't distinct those noises in there. And so a lot of times when you're hearing those audio tapes, you don't really hear what the officer's hearing because all of this noise that's blended with that. But nevertheless, we're living in a day and time where I don't think video cameras is a bad thing. I think it's something that can actually protect law enforcement officers. And one of the things I've always said about body cameras, video cameras in cars, things of that nature, is I think that when you have those recordings that are out there, it makes good officers better. And I think it weeds out the bad officers that you don't need to have anyway. So I think that cameras is a good thing for the public.
So how admissible as evidence can all this information, is that all documented that can be used in court?
Yes, it actually becomes a piece of evidence at that point. So what happens is you have to have a storage system to download and store that evidence, and you got to have tamper-proof systems where you can't delete things or alter things. And if you do do a video clip or delete things out of it, that is recorded and documented as to what was deleted out, who deleted it out, who was logged in at the time, things of that nature. So about anything anymore electronics-wise has an audit trail with that. And so does the body camera. So depending on what company you go with, you get their docking stations, their software, and all that kind of stuff that comes with it that documents all these things and kind of keeps it from being tamper-proof.
All right. Now let's get to the fun part. These videos that are recorded, what kind of access as far as to the public or news outlets can those be requested for?
As of right now, unless legislation changes it, as the way legislation is right now, the body camera footage is not public record in North Carolina.
All right, so that's a North Carolina.
That's a North Carolina thing. It's not public record. It's considered a protected information. It can be obtained through subpoenas and court documents. You can do court orders, judicial orders to retrieve that information, but it is not part of the public records access in North Carolina. At this point. Now that could change any moment, but at this point it isn't.
Do other neighboring states, is it public record for neighboring
states? Some states it is. Some states it is public record for their states. And I know a couple of different states around has they can be protected for up to 24 hours, but then has to be released. There's most states have some type of protection because of the criminal aspect of it, charging people and adjudicating crimes and things of that nature. But has some level of protection, but there are some states out there that it is public record and that you have to release those things. But like I say, currently under North Carolina law, to my understanding, currently under North Carolina law, it's not public record. And
it can be a good thing and a bad thing too, depending on how the media outlet would use that footage. I mean, you can just show a short clip of something that doesn't give the whole picture.
Right, and that's typically what you see a lot of times on the evening news. You see a 5-10 second clip of an incident that happens that may be a 15-minute incident. And I understand the news can't show the full 15 minutes. They don't have time allotted for their broadcast to do that. But sometimes when you just show that 5 or 10 second clip, that doesn't give a true representation of what actually happened.
It lets somebody do what's called a Monday quarterback. Or
Monday morning quarterback.
Monday morning quarterback. Because people will see just that and try to make their whole judgment based on that one situation.
And another thing about those videos too that is, we like to make sure the public understands also. The officers that's out here doing this, sometimes they're making a millisecond decision. They're having to decide right now, that's got their life in jeopardy or the life of someone else in jeopardy, or they may perceive their lives in jeopardy. So they're making a millisecond decision on what they do. And, if you have the opportunity to sit back at the office or at home or wherever and watch this stuff over and over and over again, it's easy to sit there and say, well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they make this decision? Why didn't they make that decision? But a lot of times the officers don't have that luxury of going through all those options. They're having to make a split-second decision. And
if they wait too long, the situation can completely turn horrible.
Right. And honestly, there are some videos out there of officers that's made horrible decisions that they have done exactly the wrong things they shouldn't have done, and the cameras have brought that out also. And police officers are human; they make mistakes, they do things they shouldn't sometimes, and with the video too, sometimes that it's hard to give grace, I guess you might say, to bad decisions that's being made. But sometimes grace may not necessarily be deserved if someone's injured or hurt, or the life's lost, or those type of things.
Right.
You don't have the luxury of doing that. So, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why North Carolina in the past has decided that body cameras is not public record, because they wanted to be able to go through the court process, prosecute the cases and things without there being a tainted view from jury pools and from the public,
Right.
and things of that nature. So, but it is obtainable. You can obtain it through court orders and subpoenas and things like that. But at this point, it's just not public record.
One of the items asked for in the budget was the body scanner
Right.
to go at the detention center, and that it's not a yes or a no at this point, but it was tabled. I understand.
It is. It's tabled. One of the things about the body scanner is, and even though I think it's very much needed, I think it's, we've talked about it on here before, I think it'd be a great tool to keep contraband and drugs and things out of our confinement facility, and it would be a great tool to stop that from happening. But it does cost a lot of money. I think it was somewhere between $150,000, between $150,000 and $200,000 by the time you get everything together. But the fact of the matter is, just like we've talked about before, the commission board only has a limited amount of money,
Right.
that they can give people things,
And it's their job to be the best stewards of the money.
It is, and I know they've got other needs in the county and other things happen. I know this past year, I think that had to. I don't remember all the details to it, and I really don't want to talk about it on here because it's not my issue. But they had a landfill issue where they wound up costing a lot of money that they didn't anticipate, didn't expect.
Right.
It took a lot of money out of the general fund budget, and so I think a lot of things they were planning on doing this year kind of got tabled or put on the back burner because of this large amount of money that they had to spend on something else. So, and that happens from time to time. You may plan on buying a new patrol car, you may plan on buying a new ambulance or whatever it may be, and then you may have a $300,000 trash compactor go down at the landfill they'd have to replace. So they have to make those decisions about where to spend their money and all that. My argument to the commission board was for this, and my argument has been, even though it cost maybe $150,000 to $200,000, that's still a lot cheaper than a lawsuit that coming through the detention facility when contraband has gotten in and someone's been injured or a death occurs.
And you have to consider how much is human life worth too,
Right.
in case something happens
Right.
that the scanner wasn't there to pick up.
Yeah, you're right. But just from a strictly financial standpoint, financially, I believe it's more feasible to go ahead and buy that and prevent those things from happening than for something like that to happen than paying out a six-figure lawsuit or
And
a seven-figure lawsuit.
I believe they were open to the idea because they were actually willing to travel to see one in use
Right.
and talk to the operators of
Right.
one at another detention facility.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a close the door, we're not going to talk about this anymore.
Right.
I'm glad to see that they were open to continue to research that
Oh, yeah.
before they make up their decision.
Yeah, I am too, and it's honestly, it's one of those things. Anytime you come with a big ticket item, you kind of expect there to be a lot of discussion, and probably not going to get it. But I'm glad to see the commission board at least discussing it and at least entertaining the idea of doing it. So.
All right. Any staff added with the recent budget request?
I think there's been a little bit of changes going around the staff. I don't think that necessarily they're going to be added staff. We have looked at redoing the staff that we have, reassigning the staff. That's one of the things that I wanted to do before we come back and ask for a lot of positions, is just to reevaluate what we have and reassign people within our office. I think if we look at what we're doing and we can evaluate what we're doing and be more efficient and do things better, then we'll know exactly what staff we need to ask for and where to put that additional staff. So we're almost full board again at the sheriff's office. We're like every other law enforcement agency. We're full, and then we have people leave for whatever reasons and go get jobs somewhere else or move or family issues or whatever it may be. Then we're down again, and then we're hiring new people. Well, we're back to full staff now, and I think we're down to 1 or 2 open investigative positions is all we have open now. We're full on everything else. So I'm real happy about that we're getting back to full staff and getting back to doing the things that we need to do. So one of the things that we have discussed is the fact of that if the commission board approves and we get implemented and going, animal control officer for Cherokee County, about doing an evaluation on that and how we're going to get that implemented and get that going. And we didn't ask for an additional position for that. What we're doing is we're going to take one of our existing positions so we can really do good analyzation of what kind of time is spent on that, how many cases result in criminal charges, how much time has been spent in court, how many calls for service we're getting, how many houses do we have to go to, all those kind of things for that animal control officer. And once we get those statistics together, then we know whether that warrants a full-time position for that or whether that's something that somebody can do in conjunction with another job at the sheriff's office.
From the community standpoint, what kind of service, if somebody picks up the phone to call, what do you envision that animal control officer being able to take care of as far as what kind of complaints and issues?
As it stands right now, primarily things that are covered under general statute, animal abuse, the animal bites, things of that nature, neglect, those type of things. That person would definitely be able to handle with that. One of the things that we're not going to be able to do right off the bat, and just make sure everybody understands this, is there is not a leash law in Cherokee County.
Right.
We do not have an ordinance for that. So, stray animals, nuisance animals, being in people's yards, things of that nature, we can address that from a criminal standpoint. But what we can do is from an animal control officer, we can look into those issues and, like I say, document those issues, what kind of issues we're having, what the frequency of those issues, and then we can later take that information back to the commission board, and then we can argue we need this or we need that. We need this type of ordinance or that type of ordinance to protect our citizens.
Will there be a special phone line set aside for animal control?
We'll be using the dispatch center to begin with. And like I say, until we get that call volume and figure out where we're at with that. One of the issues that we're having right now is the reason we're so unsure about it is we've had several meetings about animal control in Cherokee County, and we run across this situation where there are some people that may call Logan's Run, for example, because of animal issues. We have other people that may call the Humane Society. We have other people that may call the health department. We have other people that may call the sheriff's office, the police departments, the county manager's office, commissioners themselves. And so until we get a single place where we can funnel all these calls into one place, then we really don't know how many's out there. We really don't know what the frequency of those animal problems are in Cherokee County. And so once we can get it to one place, we will start with the dispatch center. If it becomes overwhelming to them, then we would dedicate a line specifically for that. But until we can get all those calls funneled into one place, we really don't know what we have. And that's why we're trying to take this first 6 months to a year, and really do a lot of analyzing on what we have and a lot of statistics and things of that nature.
And when we say the dispatch center, we're talking about the 911 operators.
We are talking about the 911 dispatch center.
So the dispatch center is non-emergency, so they get to the 911 calls first, and then the dispatch would be the lower priority.
835-3144 is the non-emergency number for the dispatch. And so a lot of people calling on that 3144 number, and that's the number we would start with the animal control issues. And then, like I say, if they become overwhelmed with that, then we may look at pulling a line away and dedicating a line at the sheriff's office for just animal control issues. So, but until we see, like I say, what we have, statistics and numbers, we really won't know quite what we need. We don't know if we need one person, 2 people, 10 people.
It's probably going to be eye-opening.
I think it will.
It's probably going to be a bigger... how many counties around us have animal control officers with their
Clay County has animal control. Clay County has animal control officer. Macon County has a full animal control unit. They have several people, trucks, catch equipment, the ordinances that goes with it, all those kind of things.
I know Union County is very active.
They're very active in animal control. Yeah. I'm not quite sure about Fannin and those, but I know Union County is, and I know Macon County is the 2 big ones that's the closest to us that has full-blown animal control units. So One of the things they did tell me in Macon County was that when they initiated their animal control, they kind of did what we're doing right now, is just dedicating an officer, getting it started, getting it on the ground. But what they found in Macon County was once they had funneled it into one place and once they could really see what's going on in Macon County, that's what prompted them to do the full-blown animal control unit. And I really do foresee that's probably what's going to happen in Cherokee County, that we'll probably get overwhelmed with calls and stuff and have to have several people doing it.
And when you're talking about dedicating an officer, is that taking an officer off the street? It's not an investigator that's going to be handling this. So.
No, what we're going to do right off the bat is we have a couple of patrol officers that we're looking at that's willing to take on this task of just help us to get through this beginning phase to see where we're at. They will still be answering calls. They will still be responding to other things that are out there. But they're willing to see where we're at with this and try to get those statistics and numbers together and see what kind of time it's going to take to do this. And but like I say, if we follow suit with what happened in Macon County and what has happened in Clay County, then I say that we'll probably find the need to have more than one person doing it and doing full board with it.
I do believe there's a huge need out there.
Right.
This is just me from me seeing everything that's on social media. And, we'll still handle missing pets at the radio station. So, but that's not really something that's going to be incorporated. Just trying to find lost pets.
One thing I want to say too is with the animal control officer, even though there may not be a criminal charge, for a nuisance pet or your neighbor's dog coming through your yard or things of that nature, it would still be a responsibility of this officer to try to bring the peace to all that, and try to work with neighbors to help resolve issues and conflicts and things, So even though there may not be, he may not be able to charge something with a criminal charge, they might still be able to get involved to see if they could resolve whatever issue is there. So it's not going to be the fact of, well, there's no need to call in there, because they can't do anything anyway. Because we still want to try to get involved in it and resolve those conflicts and see, like I say, what the issues are. If the issues are more of a stray nuisance issues, then that's something we need to document how many of those are, whether it's once a day or whether it's 10 times a day or 50 times a day or how many times a day it is, and get those numbers back to our commission board and make it public so people know actually what's happening out there and what's going on with that. And a couple of problems is, one is you run across these issues where you have the same person or the same people calling all the time. And so you kind of get this in your mind, or the commissioners may get it in their mind, or the county manager or someone may get it in their mind that there's not a county-wide issue, it's just this person's issue.
Right.
But the other problem that comes with that is I know from just talking with people that we have a lot of people who are experiencing issues that just don't call because they know we don't have an animal control officer, and they know that really nothing can be done about it, so they just don't call.
And what I've seen too in neighboring counties, that some people will abuse this, and they'll just be spiteful to get their neighbor in trouble and things like that, and report things that really are not important, just to try to be a hindrance to their neighbors.
Well, I think one of the big concerns, and it's a valid concern, but I think one of the big concerns is for people who use dogs for sporting, whether it's hunting or bird hunting or bear or hog hunting, coon hunting, whatever it may be. There's a concern with a dog being in someone's yard and them calling someone and them picking it up, put it in the pound, for example. But the fact of the matter is that we have, Macon County is a good example. We have counties who have a lot of hunters within their counties, but have ordinances that work, and have animal control that works. And so we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to be looking at these counties where they already have things that work and see, okay, what can we do here in our county that would work in our county? Because we don't want to do the same mistakes they've made. Let's learn from their mistakes.
Learn from it, yes, absolutely. All right, finally, we touched on this last week. We were at the Flag Day ceremony last week doing our show on Facebook Live instead of here in the studio. So it was a Facebook Live only show. If you missed that, you can go to our Facebook page and watch that. But we touched on there was a 6-year-old that had been a missing person that had been abducted by his biological mother.
Right.
Can you kind of give our listeners who may not have read or heard about this situation, what all was involved there?
Yeah, we had actually received a call from our State Bureau of Investigation. They had received a call from Missouri. Well, I believe it's Missouri. Make sure I don't get my states wrong. I think it was Missouri State Police. That they were working a missing child case up there. The child had been missing for almost 6 years, been abducted by a biological parent, and so they had been on the run for almost 6 years, been missing. The state police up there had conducted a search warrant in a place where the person with the child had been at one point. They had just missed them up there and been gone for some time. But when searching that house under that search warrant, I think they found a receipt of a vacation rental of here in Cherokee County, of a house that was rented with the dates and the times it was rented and those kind of things. And so they had reason to believe they came to Cherokee County.
That was a good lead.
It was a good lead. So when they contacted us, we contacted our investigative division. We got several investigators to go out and to see if they could find this house and to see if the persons were there. When they did go out to the house and located the house, they saw what they thought at first was a man and a child leaving out the back door going into a wooded area. They gave pursuit to try to figure out who it was, if it was the missing child. They located them at some point behind the house in a wooded area, found out that it was the mother and the child. Upon talking with them, the mother quickly identified herself as she was the one they were looking for, and this was the missing child that they were looking for in Missouri. So we were able to take them into custody here without incident in Cherokee County. She was placed into custody here under warrants out of Missouri, and the child was turned over to the Department of Social Services, where they reunified there with the father.
I saw a picture online of the child and the father, and if I read correctly, the child believed she did not realize that the father was still alive. She had been told otherwise.
Right. Yeah. And that was one of those things. Me and my wife and my family were talking about this the other day, and I know it's the right thing to do, and I know the father's been missing his child and had rights to his child and needed his child back, and I understand that. But all these years, for 6 years here, this child has lived with just its mother, and didn't know its father was still alive, and didn't know there was a family there, and those kind of things, and so. That is very traumatic on the child, having to go back and be with people it don't know, and being with starting life all over again with a new family. And even though it's the right thing to do, and ultimately I believe, if all this worked out like the courts say it is in Missouri, I don't know the family, but in all probably likelihood the child will be in a loving family that will take care of it, and that kind of thing. But still, anytime you have an issue like that, I feel for the children, because it is traumatic on the children, and the child don't know any better. It don't know any different. And so, my heart just goes out for the child, and what it must be going through. And this person that's known as mom, it's the only person it's been with, is no longer with that person anymore. So that can't be too joyful for the child, I put it that way. And but it is what it is, and we were able to get the child back to the family there in Missouri, and we were just glad that it all turned out okay, and the child was not harmed, and that we were able to get the child without incident. So,
all right. Well, thank you for the update there.
Yeah.
Anything? I know we're running a little late today, but anything you want to add before we close out our show?
No, I just want to tell everybody to be safe out there. It's time for storms and hot weather and snakes and bees and all that kind of stuff. So when you're outdoors doing your outdoor things, just be careful.
All right. Sheriff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You are tuned to WKRK Radio, 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, worldwide at country.am. You can also pick us up on Simple Radio, TuneIn, and radio.net on your smartphone apps, plus Amazon Alexa and Google Home. So let me hit the stop button over here for the recording.